welcome to Reimagine with Renata. I am your host, Renata Del Carmen, and this podcast is your go-to space for faith, fashion, and lifestyle inspiration, designed to empower you to live boldly, love deeply, and walk confidently into your purpose. As you know, I am always excited, but today I have so much to be excited about. Earlier this year, I had the opportunity to partake in a transformative workshop, which is, as you know, something that gets my year going, sets me straight for all the goals that I have. And I had the pleasure of encountering a very special woman, a very educated woman, a very beautiful woman, a very stylish woman. And I get to have her in conversation with me today about such a transformative time in our lives, in our country, in our world. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Rochelle Keturah Baptiste. Hi, Rochelle.
Hello. Hi, Renata. Hi, everyone. So glad to be here. I'm really, really good.
Welcome to the party.
I'm glad to be here. Let's go.
Yeah, so I haven't had a guest in a while. I actually haven't had a podcast in a while. So everyone, welcome to this season. It's a new season. It's a new day. It's a new day. And if you have seen our recent post on Instagram, you know that today we're talking about voting in style. And I have so much excitement for what is possible for us. Our world has shifted in less than, how many days? Less than 90 days ago. We were in a different place. And now we get to potentially see the first of many first woman, first Black woman take the seat, the highest seat in the land. So I am excited to get into conversation about that with you, Rochelle. But first, I'd love to give you the opportunity for you to tell everyone about yourself.
Sure. So again, my name is Rochelle Keturah Baptiste. I am a style enthusiast, love fashion, as well as a authenticity life coach and a facilitator. I have a degree in theology as well as social work. So I love putting the worlds together of counseling, of religion and society in particular. And then I get to do things that I enjoy, right? So there are ways that we can connect everything. We can connect theology, we can connect counseling and social work, we can connect empowerment and life coaching and style. So that's me in a quick envelope.
I love that. It's so unique and it's so on brand for me. Because as many of you know, I went to school for fashion design and for many, many years worked in education worked in fashion prior to transitioning to education. And there's a part of me that has been yearning and desiring to be back in a space where I am expressing myself more boldly through fashion and also having fun with it, especially now that I'm in my 40s. I think fashion looks different for me, and my closet is evolving. That's a conversation for another day. Do women in their 40s wear this? I don't know. And my daughter also keeps me in check, right? She lets me know whether it's for me or it's not for me. Oh, it'd be your own kids. It'd be your
own kids.
But I am glad to be in community with you because when I go to your Instagram, let's just wait. If you all are not following Rochelle on Instagram, get to the Instagram because the fashion is fashioning. Okay, she is showing up. When I say boldly and powerfully. And so I appreciate all of the passion and inspiration you bring to the world visually. Tell us a bit about what inspires your passion for style.
I love that question. I think it's both being born, loving it, right? I often say that when kids my age wanted toys, I wanted clothes and books, right? From as far back as I can remember. In combination with the fact that my mom was a seamstress, right? And so being there with her at the sewing machine, picking the buttons, going shopping with her, she just cultivated a love of fashion and style that I really, really appreciated. And then as I grew up in a conservative religion, but there was one space where I felt that I had freedom, and that was in my expression of myself through my clothing, right? So it was even bigger than what I enjoyed. It was a space where I got to feel free, where I got to make my own choices, right? Mommy, I want this shirt with this pant, I want to wear these shoes. And I was given that space to, and so it also was the space where I was able to be myself and to be authentic. And so that's just where I think style began for me as a young person. And then as you evolve and get older, get your own coins, your own money, right? Now you can really shop and you can really have fun and express yourself and play, right? Like for me, it's a form of play. It's fun. I love playing in my closet, right? And so it's more than looking cute. Yeah. It's more than a look, right? It's an experience, and it's something that speaks to who I am.
That is so funny how similar our stories are. My mom, who migrated from Guyana to the United States, was a seamstress and still is, depending on who you ask, is she'll still put something together for at times that she is into it. But I remember the same growing up with fabric everywhere, hearing the sewing machine going in the other room. My mom sewed, dresses for entire bridal parties and or my recitals. So it was always a part of my upbringing, and definitely style inspiration began with my mom. Also, like I remember a very young age being into the style section of the New York Times and different magazines, Essence magazines, Vogue magazine, before we were on the cover, right? Before women of color were considered beautiful, I was into what fashion meant, not just for me, but for the women around me. Very, very fashionable women in my family. So I love that. I love that I know that now. Wow. That's awesome. How do you define your personal style in terms of what you want people to know about you when you enter a room? Like when Rochelle shows up, what people got to get ready for? 'Cause I don't know if they ever are ready, but what should they get ready for?
I love that question too. I would like folks to look at me and say, she is not trying to look like anyone else. Mm-hmm. She has her own unique style. Mm-hmm. She's not following trends. Style for her is integral to who she is, right? And so it's just like people walk up to me and assume that sometimes I'm a stylist and those sorts of things, because I think they see that I take chances, right? Stylists, you can see the way that they work outside of what's trendy, right? But yet it still looks good, right? It's something about it, or the choices, mixing patterns and doing those sorts of things. That's a choice that they made. They weren't trying to copy someone else, and they're confident in it, right? So confidence, authenticity, uniqueness. And I want them to look at me and go, she does not look like everyone else.
I love that. Individuality, that is also important. I think sometimes when you've already stood out, right, in your life somewhere where you're always or have been the outcast, like it's nice to be able to celebrate that through fashion, through your self-expression. That was my experience. I don't know if the same for you, but like I love that concept of people knowing like this person is different from everyone else in the room, and I'm paying attention. And I love that. I love that. Is there any particular thing or experience that you draw inspiration from? Or is it just like you open your closet and you like, I feel like this today and this is what I'm wearing?
It's both, right? Mm-hmm. It's both. You can't help but see someone else, who is, to use old slang, fly, right? Out in the street and think, oh, I like the way she put that together. I like that. Oh, that's a good choice. And it inspires you, right? To perhaps think along those lines when you're putting your outfit together. And then inspiration is so free now, right? I feel like back in the days we had to buy the magazines. I remember those stores that sold the high fashion, like European thick magazines that you have to go to the village to purchase?
Yeah, and it would be out on the floor, tons of
yes. Right. So you had to travel, right? Because they didn't have it in the regular stores in Brooklyn. You had to travel to Manhattan to certain shops to get that, right? You had to buy Vogue and the Marie Claire and the Glamour. Where I feel like now you don't even have to follow those particular magazines. You can follow your favorite influencer, right?
That's true.
You can pull up Pinterest, right? Find all sorts of inspiration. Of course, there's always celebrities, right? But like street style, I love street style, right?
Yes.
And that really influences me and gives me inspiration. But for the most part, I'll open my closet and say, how do I feel? What's the weather today? What do I feel like? And pull.
That's awesome. Now, my follow-up question to that is around shopping, right? Because before I can see a closet, it's picked up off the rack. Like, do you need to shop in person or do you prefer to shop online or both? What's your go-to?
Love that question because I can't shop online. I have such a hard time. I can do it for some of the clients that I style for, right? I can send them links and they can purchase. But as far as what I am buying to add to my closet, as far as pieces, right? I have to be in person. Like it's a sparking of joy, right? And so if it sparks joy, if you see it like from across the room, and you're like, that's something I know I must have.
That is so funny because I tell my daughter all the time, like when we go to the store and malls, Soho, wherever we go, and I look at the store and I don't see that thing. I'm like, there's nothing. Like, I don't see it. I need to see the thing that's going to be like, oh, I'm headed your way.
Yeah, absolutely. So it calls you, doesn't it? Doesn't it like... It calls you and you know, like if it's something that will work within your closet just by the way that it makes you feel when you see it. Right? So I'm very much an in-person, tactile, gotta feel, touch, and how does it make me feel when I see it?
That's a perfect segue about how it makes you feel because while for fashion for a long time, when I was growing up anyway, and who knows how long before that, was not seen as intentional or purposeful, right? It was just about how you looked or how you showed up, depending on the environment. Because obviously, fashion has significance in many different eras for many different reasons. But it was kind of like superficial in terms of the fashion industry. And now fashion is become more purposeful there. And I don't know if that is because companies have become more ethical or there has been a shift in the moral compass of our people. When I say our people, I mean humanity, in which where we invest our money, we want to know that these companies are upholding a standard. But our purpose today is about voting and how we are incorporating fashion into that. And I will say that I honestly, when we met earlier this year, this is the last conversation I thought we would be having, but I am so grateful that this is the conversation that we are having and that we've been able to collaborate on something so intentional, so powerful, so purposeful, because we are truly in a place where we can shift the narrative for not just ourselves, for other women, for our country. And then we're doing it through this election.
Yes.
Tell us about your experience, I guess, with voting in general. How does voting come into your life, or where does it hold a place for you in your community, in your life?
Yeah. Voting it's always felt like a privilege to me, right? First, my parents are Caribbean, but I was born here, right? And so, there's a certain age requirement to drive. There's a certain age requirement to vote, right? And so it was always something where, when I get big, I'll be able to vote along with other adults, which means that I have a voice, right? I get to choose and I have a voice and my voice matters in the space because I'm coming in with my ID. No one else can come in and choose unless your name is my, right? No one else can come in and speak for me in a sense, right? Because I have this privilege, it's only given to me. And so it always felt that way. And so I always made it a point to vote, even though I wasn't 100% sure. For some reason, still needed to make my voice be heard by by voting. And so it's the same, right?
Right.
Presidential elections are heavier, right? They just weigh more. And so in particular, when it came to presidential elections, it was a time of choice, of mattering, and of being able to do something that not everyone has the privilege to do, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I can think back as far as being in pajamas, sitting around watching presidential debates with my family, and it being a conversation that was often had even on a local level. I think that my experience, as you named, is unique because there was a time where people in my family were not able to vote because they were not citizens of this country. And living in a country where you don't have a say, or even it wasn't too long ago before you were even allowed to have a say, even if you were born and raised in the country, you kind of hold it with a high regard when it is your opportunity to do so. You are intentional about being informed. You're intentional about your selection. And we have the opportunity to impact our world with many firsts: the first female president, first Black woman. Why would you say it's important for you to support Kamala, and how can this potentially empower women for generations to come?
Yeah. It's important for me to support Kamala for several reasons. One being, in this particular time, personally, when the election was held and Obama was elected, at that time, I didn't have the voice that I have now. Right? I was very much still a people pleaser. I wasn't being authentic. And so that time came and went, and I was unable to commemorate it. Right. Because I was busy. I'll stay here and work, while other folks were off gallivanting and enjoying all the festivities and memorializing the time and the election and being involved in celebrations. I was more focused on pleasing others. And so I missed out on that entire time. And then so when we have this opportunity now for another first, right? Not only another first Black, but another first female, I said to myself, there's no way I'm going to allow another such important momentous occasion to come and go without it being a meaningful, meaningful experience for me. And so I wanted to use my voice in any way possible to assist in this momentous occasion. Now, reference to women, right? I'm also a women's empowerment coach, right? I have a women's empowerment event every year, right? And
I will not be missing the next one. Okay.
Thank you. And it's, I often think about my mother. I think about the fact that it's one generation removed from being able to have your own bank account, right? Like literally, right? I remember my elementary school class, like there being the picture of Shirley Chisholm there, right? Because all of those were first, right? And so that instilled in me like possibility about what I could do, where I could go, right? College was a no-brainer. Master's degrees were a no-brainer because I could see that there were other women who were also going for it, who were also in spaces where they didn't necessarily see anyone else, but they were that for me, right? And so imagine now little girls in classrooms who can look up and see a picture of a woman who looks like them. And I'm speaking of women of color in particular, girls of color in particular. They can look up and they can see not just first Congresswoman, but they can see President of the United States, the highest seat in this particular land. They can look up and see a face that looks like theirs. I know what Shirley Chisholm meant to me, right? I know what Oprah and others who have been the first, respectively, meant to me. And so I can't imagine not using my voice to create a space for other young women in that case. So that's why I think it's important to vote for Kamala.
Yeah, you have touched on so many critical and pivotal times in our lives in this generation. And I would say Generation X and older millennials have been through the wire because we have seen and experienced a lot, and not just turmoil, but just the way our world has transitioned over time and evolved rapidly, especially with technology, that we've seen the world differently many times over. And my first time voting was in a 2000 Y2K. Y2K was like, we didn't know what the world was gonna do when the clock struck midnight in 2000, but also that was the first time I was able to vote as an adult, and watching votes be travel in a truck from Florida to wherever they took them to count them. When we were voting for Al Gore, it was a time, right? And I vowed to myself during that time, because I didn't fully understand what was happening, but I knew that the process didn't seem equitable. It didn't seem like it was going in a way that would be a benefit to all. And so I became more intentional about understanding politics, understanding how our government is run, and not just on the presidential level, but on a local level as well, and being more informed about the roles of our government, senators, our judicial delegates, and I'm still learning, right? I don't know if it's even possible to come into a full understanding of what goes on in the Supreme Court, but I'm learning, okay?
Right.
So, when it was time, 2008, when Barack Obama began his run for president, I was out in these streets, in other people's streets in Pennsylvania, campaigning, and it was Palin, McCain-Palin versus Obama Biden, and I was like, I hope we don't get hurt out here. We gotta make it out alive, because people stand on business when it comes to their choice, their vote, their voice. And so we get to do the same. But luckily, we came out on top in that election in 2012. The very same intentionality with my daughter was the first time she was able to comprehend an election. I appreciate her elementary school at the time, because they held mock elections in her classroom. And so I was like, great. So you can come to the polls with me and see what it's actually like to vote. And my family's always been intentional about supporting our understanding in that way. And needless to say, she was very much an Obama fan, not a Mitt Romney fan. But it's just something that has always been a part of my lifestyle. So this is not a trend. This is a charge for many of us to become more informed about not just this election, but what is happening in our government across the board. Now, I had the honor and privilege of being one of the 44,000 plus, because there were people on Zoom, there were people on YouTube, with Win with Black Women, which is an organization led by the magnificent, the phenomenal Joteka Reedy. Now, unbeknownst to me, when I got on that call had been happening since 2020, when Kamala was named Joe Biden's vice president nominee. And I was like, whoa, these women have been meeting every Sunday at 8:30. And I will be on the call tonight, FYI. These women have been meeting every Sunday at 8:30 for the past 4 years, with the intentionality of pushing Kamala forward and other Black women in politics forward. This is not just a Kamala campaign. This is a win with all Black women in whatever area of politics that you are interested in. And so it just speaks to what you referred to, Rochelle, about the importance of our young women, our young Black girls, seeing how we have the ability and the possibility of how we can transform our world as women. I'm here for it. Who gonna stop us? Okay. Oh, same. Love being on that call each week. Hey, Camille. So Camille is watching, and it is such a powerful call. And I think one thing about that call that has opened up my eyes is we as women have these communities that we often create. And I'm not saying it's exclusive, because it's open to all, right? It's accessible to all, but we have the ability to lean on these communities. And it's important for us to, especially at a time like this, take the time to do so, because one, you'll be informed, two, you'll get support, three, you'll be inspired, you'll be empowered, you'll have an opportunity to see opportunities for yourself and others. So is these communities that are being created are important for us to, we have the opportunity to access them, because there was a time where it wasn't possible. We Shirley Chisholm, God bless her, she walked so Kamala could run, but it is because of women supporting women that these women are able to be in these spaces and thrive in these places. And I have to say, Kamala, if you see this girl, the way you are approaching this presidency with style and grace and joy and ease, I'm here.
Yes.
The people want to believe that every time a Black woman is empowered, that she has to be angry, frustrated, turn, barking, and all the things. And yes, walk into your seat with grace and ease.
Yes, I love that. I love that. That's one of the reasons why I love what we are doing, right? Because exactly to your point, right? And I love the fact that the way they are changing the narrative is not by saying we're going to necessarily fight fire with fire, but that we are going to shift the narrative by being resistant to what you are trying to do with joy, right? Because joy is resistance, right? Saying that despite all these things that you are trying to do, despite the world that you are trying to create, I am still going to resist, but I'm going to do so joyfully. I love it. And that's another reason why I feel called to support Kamala in this way.
And I'm not one to don't get me wrong, I have my moments of complaint and like, what is going on over there? Like, why we have to, like, why is that happening, right? There are those moments of the experience of being engaged by the other side. But yes. I will say, like, there is no way that anyone could tell me that they have seen the transformation of our country in just Joe Biden saying, I bow out gracefully, but I choose to lift this woman up into the seat that she is qualified for. That woman has been able to date raise $1 billion and $1 billion and counting for her campaign. Okay, so someone somewhere says yes to change, yes to transformation, yes to what this means for our country, for women, for everyone, everywhere, because she stands to be the leader of the free world. And we love that for us.
We love that for us. Absolutely.
Now, we can't ignore that there was a moment in time within the past 2 months where people were like, ooh, is it possible? Like, will people actually vote for her? So what would you say to people who are like reluctant to stand on business, whether it be amongst family, friends, social media, or even at the polls, like when it comes to voting just because it's a woman or just because it's a Black woman?
Well, your vote is personal, right? Mm-hmm. And so, yes, I would offer to please, right, make an informed choice, right? Which means get a bit of knowledge, watch some debates, do some research, right, of your own, so that you are not voting because it's just a woman. Because you are not voting just because it's a Black woman or because my parents were immigrants and hers were immigrants as well. Yes, you absolutely want to make an informed decision.
Yep.
And there are those who, even in doing so, may feel as though that based on the information that they've gathered, that they're not sure, right? That they really don't feel necessarily called to support her, right? And listen, I'm not here to tell anyone who to vote for, right? I'm more concerned that you use your privilege to vote, right? Absolutely. Number one, right? Register, get in there, make sure your voice is heard.
And read some reputable information.
That as well, right? Check your sources when you research.
Right.
Check your sources. Check your sources. But what I will say is, right, also check in with yourself and your core values, right? And based on the vision, right, and what each candidate has put forth in words, in policy, and in behavior, what they have demonstrated, right? So if you value respect, if you value equality, if you value the freedom of choice, if you value those things, right? Which candidate do you think you're more in line with, right? Because no one is going to be perfect for you, right? There isn't one candidate you're necessarily going to feel as though I'm in agreement with everything that they stand for and everything they have ever done, right? Like, I get that, right? And I get that even for some in particular, some decisions that were made may be hard for you because your family was affected. Like, I get it, right? But these are the choices, right? And so being that these are the choices, what are your values? What is the world that you would like to see? What is your personal vision for the United States of America, for yourself, for your family, right? And whose vision for that is in line with yours? And no, it's not going to be tit for tat and 100% perfect, but I would offer to make your decision based on that and vision, not ethnicity, not gender, right? Whose values, who has demonstrated behavior, and who has a vision for this world that is in line the most with your values, and then vote.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, because there's a smidgen of petty that lives in me that was to be like, wow, who else would you be voting for? But as Rochelle said, make an informed decision. And on a serious note, that needs to be emphasized in this conversation, because I went out to volunteer on National Voter Registration Day in a very populated area of Brooklyn, New York, which is Flatbush Junction. It's a big shopping area. There's a college in the neighborhood. So you are liable to encounter anyone from any ethnic background, age group. And so, to my surprise, as someone who is frequently on social media, has a semi-public life on social media, I engage a lot of content. I see a lot of things. I follow a lot of reputable sources, but I also read reputable periodicals like the Wall Street Journal, New York Times. So I'm pretty informed. I watch a lot of news networks, pretty informed. I was not prepared to hear what people were saying to me about their thoughts on this election. During that day of volunteering, people did not know it was a presidential election year. People did not know who was running for president. I heard people say everything from I'm not registered, I'm not interested in being registered, to I'm not voting, the world is a crap show. So if you think that this is a no-brainer election and that there's no way that Kamala doesn't have it in the bag, I beg to differ. And I beg that you have conversations with your friends and family and the people you trust to engage with in regards to this, because there are a lot of not just uninformed people, but misinformed people, because there is a lot of AI generated content on the internet. There is a lot of content that is edited to present a narrative that is false. And so if people are not tech savvy, social media savvy, and don't have another way to access the information that is true, then they need someone like you or me to present them with what is fact and what is true, so they are able to make an informed decision.
Great point.
It is wild outside. It's wild outside. I just want you all to know. So with that, we are definitely voting in style. And so, Rochelle, what does that mean for you, and why this election?
That goes back to what I was saying earlier about it being a momentous occasion, right? So what do you normally do when it's a momentous occasion?
Oh,
you dress up. All the way up, right? Then your weddings, your milestone birthday parties, right? When it's a momentous occasion, you get on the phone, girl, what you wearing? Days, maybe sometimes even weeks before. Right. What do you wear? Make sure you have your outfit ready. Do you know what you're wearing? Because you want to experience the occasion in a different way, which calls for you doing something different, right? Which calls for us, right? Those of us who love fashion, who love to express ourselves in style, which calls for us doing something different in the way that we look that day, right? And I feel because it's such an occasion, it requires for me, right? I can street style it, but for that day, I want to walk into the polls and I want folks to see and feel the importance of the occasion, right? And so she took the time to dress up, right? What happens when you see someone who's dressed up? You turns heads. Oh, and it gives people pleasure and joy, right? I love that outfit. I love what you did, right? And so what better way to do something from my sphere of influence, right? Than to make a choice to choose to dress up that day. And to then be able to tell the story afterwards because Kamala will be elected and then I'll be able to say, this is the way, one of the things that I did to make the occasion special. Absolutely. And so I would love for folks to galvanize behind that because it also is in line with what we were saying earlier, right? About it being joyful, right? About it being something that we are bringing grace and ease and joy into. And why not mirror that with what we are personally doing at the polls each day? Right. If you vote early or not.
Right. Because thank you for saying that because if you can vote early, do that as well. We want to eliminate any opportunity for the enemy to try to steal, kill, and destroy anything we have going up because we showed up to the polls already. Now I am, I've heard, I haven't seen it in many places, but I've heard that fall's greatest fashion accessory is the I voted sticker or button. Now, we can't let that stand alone. And I know people, when they go to vote, they love to post, like, I voted, and their sticker or their pin, but we want to see the entire fit. Like, this is a thing. Get on board because we want to see the vote in style hashtags. We'll be following up through the rest of the month with our ideas. Like, so wait, do you know what you're wearing yet? I don't know.
I don't know what I'm wearing yet either.
We have graciously put together a post of some of our favorite fits to inspire you to dress up and go out and vote and do it proudly and do it confidently. What do you say we show them what we put together? If you haven't seen us.
Oh, yes. Perfect.
Let's see. Let me know if you guys can hear it. This is the first time I've done this, so bear with me. Okay, are you all seeing our Instagram? Perfect. All right, here we go.
Election, we each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in? There are some people who think we should be a country of chaos, of fear. In this election, we each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in? There are some people who think we should be a country of chaos, of fear.
Okay, we love to see it. We love to see it. So we are excited for you all to step into your best, to make your best decision on election day. But I want to also preface, like, we have to, I know we like to show up and show out, but you cannot walk into the people's polls giving Harris Walls energy loud and proud because they will kick you out. You can't sway votes. You just got to go in and look good. And then when you get outside, down the block, We're excited. We are so excited. I am a bit sad because it's my daughter's first election that she's able to vote. And she is excited. She registered. I know you guys saw online. I was struggling to get her to register. Child teenagers, but she is registered and she is ready to vote. But it will have to be a mail-in ballot because she's away at college, absentee ballot. But I'm excited for this moment for her as well. So I encourage you all to make this a priority in your conversations over the next few days. We are less than 30 days away. Oh my God.
I can't believe it.
Urgency versus desperation. Urgency versus desperation. Okay. We are down to the wire and we get to do it with the same level of grace and ease that Kamala has shown. Her leadership so far has been magnificent because there have been plenty of opportunities for her to clap back. And as someone who posts often about this election and about Kamala and the work that she's doing, I receive a lot of feedback. I receive feedback from even friends, right? Who are not necessarily aligned with my same ideas about the election. I receive feedback from trolls in comments who have not so nice things to say, not just about Kamala, but about previous presidents and first ladies. And I will say this, because we have to live in the reality of where we are as a country, but also push and strive and thrive through it. There are times when I post about Michelle Obama and the comments are insane. And it has been over a year since they have been in the White House.
Right.
So we have to stick together. We also have to continue to move and inspire people to be their best selves, whether it's through this election, whether it's what they wear daily. We thank you, Rochelle, for the inspiration. But we want to make sure that you are continuing to show up throughout this election in every way possible, that you are responsibly expressing yourself at the polls, voting in style, and making this time momentous, as Rochelle said, but also making your voice heard. You get to determine what's next for you. So, Rochelle, any last thoughts that you have for our friends, for anyone who potentially is on the fence about whether they're voting? Those are the people I want to speak to. So why are you on the fence? But I'll let you take it.
Okay. I get the sense, I'm hearing that there are those who are choosing not to vote because in their personal life, they feel as though what they do doesn't matter. And so the mindset is, well, why bother? Because even what I do in my personal life doesn't shift anything, right? My voice doesn't matter. People don't listen to me when I speak in my family or at work. Okay? People may ask me my opinion, but then my opinion holds no weight, doesn't have any value anywhere. I'm just getting through day to day. You know, my theme for life is, it's miserable and then you die. I'm just getting through it. I'm surviving. And there's nothing that is within the realm of my control, right? So why bother? I understand that. I get it. How the systems in this world can make you feel disempowered. But I want to offer to you that is a lie. The systems were designed to make you feel that way because the systems are power-based, and there are those who want to not only remain in power, go back to power, make America great again. They want to give you the idea that you don't have any power when in fact you do. Right? And so one of the ways in which, even though sometimes you don't feel like it, but you still take action, you still take empowered action, is by utilizing the privilege that you do have, right? And if you can vote, you can vote. If all it requires is that you register and get in there and make sure that your name, your vote, your social security number, everything that says that you are an identity and you're a person, you have rights.
Absolutely.
If you can just make sure that you, for that day, even if it doesn't feel like it, I trust you. Sometimes things are happening below ground, and so you can't feel it, but they're really things that are happening, right? And so you want your voice to be heard. You want it to be reinforced that you do matter. Because when they see the polls, when they see the results on who in certain areas, right, decided to vote and those who did not, if we give them the idea that we feel disempowered and so we don't make the choice on that day, they'll think that they've won, and that'll empower them to continue on with their foolishness.
Tell the truth.
So let your voice be heard in this way.
Amen.
Take some steps to feel the way that you feel empowered is by taking action, right? So actions like voting, actions like sharing your thoughts, actions like having difficult conversations, all of those things build a muscle in you so that you feel empowered.
Yeah.
So you may not feel as though what you do matters. And what I'm saying to you is that it does, but it starts with you. And so start by using the privileges that you do have.
Absolutely.
And we love the one that we have, which we fought for. People died for it.
For it.
They didn't want to give women the right to do it. So how can we not? Right? So cast your vote.
Cast your vote. Thank you so much, Rochelle. This moment in time, this conversation, this era of our lives is, again, so pivotal and so intentional. And we want to ensure that you all feel and know that you are empowered to lead this generation with style and confidence in every way of our lives, including with voting. And so we thank you. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for making your voice heard. Thank you for going to the polls. Thank you for speaking with friends and family. Thank you for the positivity that you will continue to bring to this election, because baby, the celebration, we will be celebrating. We'll talk about, maybe we stream live. I don't know. But
stay tuned, you guys. Stay tuned for the celebration. Stay tuned for the joy. Stay tuned for the inspiration. Just stay tuned. Just join us. Join us in this. We'd love for you to join us.
Absolutely. Rochelle, tell the people where they can follow you to keep up with you, not just through the election, but forevermore.
Yes. So on Instagram, I am Roe Keturah. So RoeKeturah, the way my name is spelled. On Facebook, it's Rochelle Keturah Baptiste. And my website, which you can find through my IG, is also Roe Keturah. Roe Keturah. I changed it. RoeKeturah.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You all know I am Reign with Renata, Reign, on Instagram and TikTok, Renata in Style on Facebook, and on YouTube, it's Renata Del Carmen. We thank you all so much for watching and commenting. Thank you, friends, Natika and Camille, for joining us in conversation tonight. Remember to share this episode with friends and family. If you are not the one, or you don't feel well versed in communicating about the topics we've discussed tonight, you can always just share this episode with a friend, and I'll be providing more resources throughout the next 20 or so days, where we'll be celebrating and ushering our first Black female president into office. Thank you so much, everyone.
Hi, everyone. So much fun.